Detroit made good on its threat to sue Perfecting Church. The church run by Bishop Marvin Winans promised a big campus on the corner of 7 Mile and Woodward. Never fully came to pass. Tonight, our Rod Maloney live with what's at stake and where this is headed. A city suing a church. Not exactly routine, Rod.
No, and these are people that all know each other and frankly like each other. Now, it was 20 years ago that they started working on the big cathedral here, and it got up and running, but it never ever reached the size and scope that it was supposed to. In fact, it's been kind of rusting in the rain out here. And so the city has a message for Bishop Winans. Either finish it, fix it, or we're going to take it. Drone 4 gives you a great look at the campus. Detroiters expected shops and apartments and a spectacular house of worship here. Detroit Corporation Counsel Conrad Mallett wanted to see it all.
The city of Detroit has profound respect for Perfecting Church and Bishop Winans.
He and the bishop have known each other for years, yet he claims the bishop himself is personally liable, along with his church here.
For 20 years, we have been waiting on that very wonderful cathedral-like structure on the corner of 7 Mile and Woodward to be completed. It is not yet complete.
Mallett wants an engineering study to know the true current condition of the unfinished structure. He's also asking the judge to order a receiver, oversee the project, and whether it's at all viable, and if the church can even get the financing to end what the lawsuit calls a public nuisance.
It has taken too long. And all of the letters and all of the conversations and all of the phone calls have not resulted in the required forward progress.
In a statement today, the church said, quote, Perfecting Church has been in constant discussions with the city of Detroit, and we believe that we were up to date in addressing all matters of concern posed by the city. We are shocked and extremely disappointed that the city would take this course of action in the dark of night, and in our opinion, not acting in good faith. And so the church's attorneys also say that they're looking at this lawsuit. They would have received it either today. It was filed last Friday. They say they're going to continue looking at it and that they expect to have a response, probably more to say, in the next week or so. Back to you.
That was a beautiful structure, wasn't it? Very beautiful. And that's from the Bishop Marvin Winans, from the family, the Winans family, where they're known for, their gospel awards and music, and he's even with Tyler Perry movies as Bishop. He did Marvin Winans did Whitney Houston's funeral, and here you have this church structure sitting there. Actually, I think it's for 18 years. They're rounding it up pretty much. So basically, let's just say 20 years. That structure, multi-millions, sitting there, and you want to talk about shaming the Lord, the name of the Lord. I mean, this right here, on this channel, we talk about issues the church run away from and expose Satan and his devices. And this is an issue that many churches I've seen it over the 30 years of being a Christian or so. I have seen it, how it goes about. I've seen it right here in my city where these pastors want to take on these elaborate projects of expanding the church and do whatever they can desperately to try to get the expansion. There's one church here where he wanted this elaborate glass that would, as you come in to the structure in the front of the building, and they ran out of money, and they were scrambling, trying to do everything that they could to get so he can have this particular look that he wanted. And it was down for a while, but eventually it got going. And then there's others that I know that have sat here and get these projects and are stressing and bringing the bankers into the church. And I've seen it. And because I used to work within the church, I've seen it firsthand. And I know many of the pastors within the city that does that. And see, and that's the thing. You have so many people. They think a pastor is this glorified position. But if you are truly called by the Lord and all of that, just like Moses, you're going to it's not something, any types of calling, whatever the Lord has called for you to do, you're not going to be running to it. just so, I mean, you're going to put up, or most people are going to put up a resistance because it's like, whoa, you know, because I'm a quiet, introverted type person. But the Lord, once I got saved, he put it upon me. No, you need to speak about I want you to speak. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I remember just about to cry and break down like, Lord, what are you doing? Don't put me out here like this and all of that. But you got these people now because of the prosperity movement that continues to pick up steam like never before. They want this elaborate look. They think it's a glorified that you stand up there and you could showboat. So you have all these people. They got all these major projects. There's another famous pastor here within my city. They really needed to expand. And because it's in the heart of a neighborhood where you're parked on this busy residential areas that takes you into very bad areas. And it's very busy. And I mean, there's a lot of seniors that go to this particular church too. And just walking. Sometimes you might have to walk 3 blocks. 4 blocks to get to the church because of the parking and things. And he started an expansion project. And I remember asking my friend a few years ago, what happened to that project? What happened? I thought y'all were moving over there. And the pastor, he said, you know, he decided that the Lord wants him there within that particular community. And they'll figure it out if they have to do multiple services. And he stayed there. And you see, and this Bishop Marvin Winans, he may have had this vision possibly for the Lord, but he got in over his head. He's outside of God's will. God's not going to give you some desire like that and leave you hanging and make him look, make the Lord, make him look like he's this unfit, that he gives people missions and things to do, and that he's not going to give you the qualifications and the things necessary, the tools and everything necessary to complete a job and all of that. And some people say, well, it's just like Noah, you know, it's going to still come to fruition. No, it's not, because it's in the heart of Detroit. You know, we know those people that live in Detroit, they talk about this, how many the real estate there is just totally, a lot of places need torn down. I mean, it still needs some infrastructure, a whole lot of work done. And the thing is the people, I don't know where was he going with this thing? Because if the people are poor, or you're the community that you're within, they can't afford to help keep that thing afloat through tithes and offerings and all of that. It's going to go under. And see, and this is the thing, these pastors, they don't be thinking. They're caught up. They're thinking more about self. Just like the ones that will have a church right in the heart of an area where there's a need for people to know the Lord, but it's a poor area. You know, there's churches everywhere in these areas like that. And the pastor wants to pull up with a brand new Mercedes and show off and all of that type of stuff. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I mean, we have to be careful how we look and who we associate ourselves with and the things that we do. We don't want to look, and it's great. If the Lord bless us, it does, and I'm not saying that we can't enjoy the fruits of our labor and that we can't enjoy the blessings of God. But as a pastor, you're under a microscope a whole lot more than others. And you have to really think, if you're in an area where the people are poor, catching buses to come to your church, you got to go constantly pick people up. No one has rides. People, you just don't, you know, they're doing the best that they can. There's a whole lot going on there. And you come showboating, wheeling in with a Mercedes or a $50,000, $60,000, vehicles and all of this, and jewelry all on and all of this stuff, and showboating and suits that cost $1,000, $2,000. I mean, do you really think that you are setting a great example to the world? See, and that's why people are hesitant of getting involved with church. And Bishop Winans, he needs to come out and quit trying to delay this thing, because that's what they're doing, stalling and all of this. No, you had 20 years to get this thing right and stuff. And I seen As I've investigated for this video, and I'm looking, and people are talking about that's been to his current services and how it's great because the music is so great. The music is so great. But then I see a lot of complaints about not enough word being preached. Basically readings of scriptures, where people feel like they're not being fed. And I've talked about that, where these people are so caught up into music ministry and totally forget about the preaching of God's word. I get angry if I go to a service. I've had that happen over the years where I wake up, Lord, this has been a rough week. I really, you're praying and you want to hear from God. I don't care if it's a visiting pastor or minister or somebody, because, some people don't want to show up to church if it's a visiting preacher. I don't care. Because I don't look at man like that. The Lord can speak through anybody. So if it's a visiting, and I've been blessed by many people that I never heard of that comes up, whether it's an associate minister on the staff or whatever, to speak. And I come to a service to hear a word from the Lord, but I have to sit there and hear people want to shine the light on themselves and spend all the time that's performing and don't want to get up, and nobody wants to preach the gospel. I mean, that's the problem. That's a big problem. And here you have this elaborate structure that's there rotting away right there in the heart. Looking at as people drive by that's within that area and all of that to say, why? What did he do? The people, you said that's a waste of people's money. I mean, I'm sure that there had to be a down payment of some sort in order for the financing to go forth, and people's hard-earned money have been wasted. That is a problem. And this is why you get people that laugh and turn their nose at the church and anybody and don't want to they think that a lot of people think that the churches run themselves or so. I mean, there is lights, gas. I used to be a custodian at my church when I first got saved and all of that. I only made $17,000 a year for a salary. That was my salary. And fortunately, I was single and still lived at home, which was 5 minutes away. But it was I worked 7 days a week. I had to get the snow ready out in the morning, the sidewalks ready. If there was 2 or 3 services, whatever's going on, I had to hurry up and get everything prepared. So for the next group of people, weddings, I had to get that cleaned up, funerals, be there 7 days a week. And after 3 years of it, I couldn't do it no more. I know because I was stuck for one income. And I know that I was working for the Lord. When you work for the church, you're working for the Lord, and you don't expect big money. And I knew that once I began to understand and grow, but at the same time, I needed more money because I was going to begin to have a family. I got married and all of that stuff, and I needed more money. So I needed an opportunity to get out of there and all of that. But at the church I used to go to there, the pastor, when they had a small church, and when he took over pastor, the Lord gave him a vision for this church that it was fairly new once I was the custodian there, but it was posted there in the lobby there of the vision that the Lord showed him. And he wanted to have like a community style center attached to the church with the gym so that the teenagers and the seniors and everybody could have like activities and all of that. But it didn't happen right away. I think it was like a 3-phase thing that went forth, and it's done. It's been done for some years now. See, but this might have what happened with Bishop Winans there. The Lord could have showed him, yeah, I want you to have it like that. He got ahead of God, possibly. It should have come in phases, possibly. Or it shouldn't have come at all. Because ultimately, here you are. You done wasted money. You done let people look at the church as, once again, we take your money and show the poor steward of money. How can you trust somebody like that is a poor steward of millions of dollars? I mean, that's inexcusable. I'm sorry. I mean, that is crazy. And I mean, that's crazy. And people that's going like it's nothing And here you are. I mean, that's nuts. And they're probably not going to be able to get the fine. It'll be a miracle if they somehow could come up with financing or find out how much damage is done to this building after sitting there dormant in Detroit weather after all of this time. I mean, it's sad. It makes me angry. I get angry about that. I get angry at any pastor, anybody that tries to abuse people that love the Lord and that's seeking the Lord and just trying to get their lives right. And then here comes people that some are irresponsible and then others are wolves. And that's what we have to deal with out here within this society today. The wolves, the ones that are self-absorbed and all of this stuff. And stuff. But you know, we'll continue to shine a light on it. We'll continue to call it out, talk about them issues that the church went away from, punch Satan right in between his chops. Evangelism for God is the channel. My name is Maurice Braxton. If you're new, consider subscribing and hit like, coming along for the journey, because we're going to keep marching forward. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.